If you're new to guitar and you're looking for ways to build your rhythm chops, well, you're watching the right video. How's it going? I'm Eddie with Guitar Mastery Method. We help thousands of guitar players all around the world, just like you, take your guitar playing to the next level. Today, I'm going to be showing you some rhythm guitar exercises to get you started. All right, first things first, let's talk about proper strumming techniques. So what a strum is, right, is literally just dragging the pick down the strings, right? You can mute the strings in your guitar like this. I'm just resting my fingers on them so that they're muted, no sound is coming out, right? And I can just focus on the motion in my picking hand. So a strum, it's like we just strum the strings like this, right? Just a downward motion with our pick, dragging gently across the strings, right? And in this type of downward strum is what's also known as a downstroke, right? But we also have upstrokes where we do the same thing, only in the upwards direction. So we have down, up, down, up. And when you think of strumming patterns in rhythm guitar, it's a lot of down, up, right? And different variations of that, which we'll get into in a second. Now, when you're doing the strumming motion, you might notice that the downstroke doesn't really require effort, right? You're not pushing your arm down. You're kind of just letting it fall, letting gravity do its thing, right? In a way, that saves you a lot of energy. So all you're doing really is just, lifting your arm, bringing it to the strings, ready for a downward strum, and then just letting your arm kind of fall. And as it falls, you're just dragging the pick through the strings like that, right? Real simple. And like I said, saves you a lot of energy. So try this with me. We're going to be going down, up together, right? But when we go down, it's literally just letting our arm drop, and then we're lifting it back up in the upstroke, and then just dropping it back down. So only half the time are we actually using any real effort in our arms, right? So starting with the downstroke, down, letting it fall, lifting it up, dropping it down. Lifting it up, dropping it down. Lift, drop, right? Lift, drop. So by doing that, you're kind of training your arm to conserve energy, because it's like you're working smart, right? Instead of working hard at it, because all it takes is, right, what goes up must come down, right? So you're just letting it come down, and you're getting the job done without actually having to exert any effort. So now I'm going to show you a few rhythm guitar exercises that'll actually set you up for the way a ton of popular songs are played using similar rhythms. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to take 3 chords, we're going to take a little chord progression, and we're going to apply 3 different strumming patterns to them. And not just strumming patterns, but also just like rhythmic approaches, right? They're going to be not only different patterns, but also sort of different dynamics with our picking hand, because most, if not all, of rhythm guitar is in the picking hand. So the chords we're going to be using for all these examples, it's real simple. We're going to be using the G chord, the C chord, and the D chord. So the first exercise we're going to take a look at, we'll take those 3 chords and apply it to just a really wide open strumming pattern that goes like this. So the strumming pattern we're looking at, if I mute my strings and we just focus on the picking hand, what it's doing, we're going down, 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 up, down, down, up, down, up, down. So with the strings still muted, before we start playing the chords, let's kind of get comfortable with that strumming pattern using the method that I talked about earlier in the video about just kind of letting, with those downstrokes, just letting your hand just kind of drop. So when we're going down, down, right? The first 2 strokes, right? The first 2 downstrokes, we're going down. We are lifting our hand, but we're lifting it so that we can drop it again, right? So we're going down, down, and then we're going to go down, up, down. So it's kind of a more, kind of a quicker motion where we go drop, lift, drop, right? And then we're going down, up, down, and then wait a beat. And so the whole pattern, it's very repeatable, right? So down, 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 up, down, down, up, down, up, down. down, 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 up, down, down, up, down, up, down. So to exercise this, it's actually, you, like I said, mute the strings. You can practice that strumming pattern, practice that motion, and also kind of say it to yourself, right? Down, 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 up, down, down, up, down, up, down. It's like when you say it to rhythm like that, it's almost like you're rapping a little bit, like there's rhythm happening, right? And we haven't even officially played it. So this is just kind of a way to build the foundation of that timing, right? That steady pulse when you're thinking about that down, 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 up, down, down, up, down, up, down. And then once you're really comfortable with that, with your picking hand, then we can start applying it to the chords. So let me show you the way I change the chords through the progression with the strumming pattern going on. So we start off with the G chord, right? That's our first chord. Down, down. That gets the first two downstrokes, right? Down, down. Then by the time the down, up, down comes around, we move to the C chord. And we give it the down, up, down. All right, so we have, starting on G, down, 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 up, down. Now the reason I play the G chord like this is literally for the sake of ease, so that I can more easily transition to the C chord there. All right, then we finally move to the D chord for the last down, up, down, up. All right, and then finally we land back on the G. So we're going down, down, switch to C, down, up, down, switch to D, down, up, back to G, down. And we can repeat that till the cows come home, down, 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 up, down, down, up, down, up, down. Here we go. Down, 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 up, down, down, up, down, up, down. One more time. Down, we're at G, move to C, move to D, back to G. You can also take the strumming pattern and apply it to 3 completely different chords if you want to. The chords can change, a lot of that stuff can change on the fretboard, but as far as your picking hand, that strumming pattern can stay consistent and can be applied, any musical key and any kind of, no key really applies because this is literally just a rhythm we're talking about. So that exercise, start with those open chords. It helps because with those open chords, you can play more of the strings, right? You don't have to quite focus as much on being super precise on what strings you land on, I mean, we have the D chord at the end, which uses the bottom 4 strings, so that you have that to think about, right? But as long as you're doing the drop lift method, right? Drop, 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 lift, drop, drop, lift, drop, lift, drop. You'll literally be able to play this twice as long than you normally would because you've cut the amount of energy in half. Now the second rhythm guitar exercise we're going to take a look at uses palm muting. Now palm muting is a technique very, very important to rhythm guitar because it's a very dynamic way to play rhythm, right? We have, we've gone over playing wide open chords, right? Where it's just like loud and proud, right? When we start applying something like palm muting, which would take otherwise something, very wide open sounding and kind of subdue it, make it more dynamic. So like, so it takes the same chords and adds a completely different rhythmic sound. So let me show you how to palm mute. What you do is you take the heel of your palm and you rest it like on the bridge of your guitar. My recommendation is you find where the strings and the bridge meet. You find that point, and that's where you want to rest your palm. And you literally just rest it on there, right? You rest it there because that it covers the strings just enough to where they're muted like this, but you can still kind of vaguely hear the actual notes themselves, right? It's not completely muted where it just sounds like, just like clicks, right? As we get further back, you can start to hear it open up a little bit more. So that's what we want, because we still want to be able to hear what notes we're playing. We just want to, put a little damper on them. So for the second exercise, we're taking the same exact chords. We're going to apply a new strumming pattern. It's going to be all downstrokes, but it's going to be a mixture of full downstrokes, like just full-on strums, and some palm muting chugs, as they're called, right? So the way the pattern goes with the chord progression looks like this. So the pattern, right? If I just mute the strings again, just to get my picking hand, you know, acquainted with this pattern, right? It's down, right? A full strum down, down, and then mute, mute, mute. 3 palm mutes, and we're focusing on the top 3 strings. They're just like the lower half of the chord, right? Because that's kind of where the palm mutey goodness is, right? That kind of chuggy sound, as I mentioned. So it's down, right? A full strum down, then mute, mute, mute. Then another full strum down, and then 1 mute, then another full strum down. So we have down, mute, 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 down, mute, down. And then it just repeats. So down, mute, 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 down, mute, down, mute, 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 down, mute, down, mute, 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 down, mute, down. If you need to, you can take a minute, pause the video, and practice this strumming exercise, right? Get familiar with it with your picking hand before proceeding to the second exercise. And now if you're ready, let us proceed. So we start with the G chord, right? So we give that our first downstroke strum, right? Down. Then we're going to give it those 3 mutes. Mute, mute, mute. So I do the drop, right? Then I lift, bring my arm back up, rest it, right? Where I said to, right where the strings meet the bridge with the heel of your palm, right? Resting it right there while holding the position of the G chord. And then we're just going to do 3 downstrokes. Now, this is a little bit different. This actually is going to require some energy, right? It's not as much of a gravity thing because our arm is not, our whole arm isn't just swinging all the way down, right? This is kind of a deliberate, it's like we bring our wrist up and then we go down, right? So it's going to need a little bit of effort from your picking hand, but not so much, right? We just do down, down, down on those mutes, right? Mute, mute, mute. So we have that first strum. Strum, right? Mute, mute, mute. Then we have another strum. Then another mute. Then another strum. And it kind of happens in a faster succession. So we have strum, mute, 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 strum, mute, strum. Mute, 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 strum, mute, strum. Mute, 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 strum, mute, strum. Right. Now we've been hanging on the G chord, but that's just, you know, if before you're ready to actually start pivoting the chords, that's another thing you can do is just by holding one of the chords, go through that, you know, exercise with your picking hand and just kind of get yourself, like I said, nice and comfortable with it. And then we can move into actually moving the rest of the chords. So here's how I like to go through the changes with this exercise. So we start on G, obviously, right? Right, once we do that strum, mute, 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 strum, mute, then before that next strum is when we change to the C chord. Right, and then we give it a strum, and then mute, 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 strum, mute, and then the next chord. Right, so each chord gets a run through of that rhythm, right? Strum, mute, 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 strum, mute, strum. Mute, 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 strum, mute, strum. Mute, 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 strum, mute, strum. And then you can just continue to repeat that too. It's also a very repeatable rhythm, right? So when we're doing the palm mutes, right? On the G chord, as we know, right? We're muting that fatter half of the chord, right? The same thing applies when we move to C, right? But you want to focus on the top half of the C chord, which doesn't include the low E string. So you want to make sure you miss that, right? And you do those little palm muted chugs, right, from the A string down, right? Just doing the top half of that chord, right? Then when we move to the D chord, kind of the same thing, right? Just the bottom 4 strings for the D chord. So we do those muted chugs on the top half of the D chord there too, and then bring it back to G. And you can play this super, super slow if you need to, just to make sure that the rhythm is even. That's the most important thing, right? Like all of the downstrokes and upstrokes and mutes, all the stuff that you're doing, it's got to be even, right? That's the steady pulse of rhythm, right? So what's really important is that there's that evenness and that rhythmicness to it, right? So if you need to play it at a slower tempo, by all means do that in order to get comfortable with that evenness, and then just gradually work your way up. Because you can play this like painfully slow, right? Or play it a bit faster. So, you know, like whatever tempo, it all kind of has a place. But start slow, get comfortable with it, and then work your way up. And like I said, there are a lot of popular songs that follow these rhythms. So this will cover a whole lot of ground for you. And finally, we have exercise number 3. Now this one's going to introduce a technique where we're treating our guitar like it's a percussive instrument, right? And it's going to happen in between strums in place of where a rest would be. So it's going to be a little bit simpler on the actual strums, but it is going to require that kind of motion. So I'm going to demonstrate what the exercise looks like, and then we'll break it down. So we're going back to wide open strums this time, and we're doing down, down, up, right? So we have a drop, drop, lift kind of motion going on. But then right after that upstroke, we're going to bring our palm, right, the heel of our palm against the strings like that, almost like we're like karate chopping our guitar, right? Without actually having to fan out your hand like that, you can just keep your hand as it is, right, holding the pick. But then you just have that little impact, right? And then it creates that kind of, right, that just kind of very like vaguely percussive sound. And so when we do the down, down, up, hit, down, down, up, hit, right? So where there otherwise, like I said, would be a rest, like down, down, up, rest, down, down, up, rest. In place of the rest is where we're going to do the hit. Down, down, up, hit. Down, down, up, hit, right? And then we're going to do each chord twice. So we have, starting with the G chord, we do down, down, up, hit. Down, down, up, hit. Switch to C, down, down, up, hit. Down, down, up, hit. Switch to D, down, down, up, hit. Down, down, up, hit. Back to G, down, down, up, hit. Down, down, up, hit. This exercise gives you a bit more time, right, to change chords because of that hit that takes the place of the rest. So the way I like to think of it is we hold the chord, right, we do the down, down, up strokes, right? Then when we come in for the hit, that's when we make the change to the next chord. Down, down, up, hit. Down, down, up, hit. Changing chords. Down, down, up, hit. Down, down, up, hit. Changing chords. Down, down, up, hit. Down, down, up, hit. So each chord gets that twice over, right? The down, down, up, hit once. Down, down, up, hit twice, right? Then change chords. Down, down, up, hit once. Down, down, up, hit twice. Down, down, up, hit once. Down, down, up, hit twice. Back to G. All right? And just like with the other exercises, these can be repeated as many times as you want. In fact, I encourage that you repeat them as many times as you want to really, see how much energy you've built up in your picking hand to do these strumming patterns and the muting and all that stuff. Also, you can change up whatever chords you like. They don't have to be the G, C, and D chords, but since this is a beginner lesson, those are typically among the first chords that are learned, so those are the chords that I decided to use. So by now, we've gone over ways you can get good at wide open strumming patterns, get introduced to palm muting, and also those percussive hits on your guitar. And if you need to revisit any of these exercises, just rewind and rewatch the parts in the video where I break these down. And really be patient, right? And start slow as you get acquainted, with what your picking hand's supposed to do. Because a lot of times, we tend to focus a lot on the fretting hand and building strength there. But the picking hand is just as important. And like I said, it's the backbone of good rhythm guitar playing. I want you to take these 3 exercises and apply them to your daily practice regimen. You do have a daily practice regimen, right? Because if you don't, I'm just kidding. It is a common problem. A lot of times, we don't really know what to practice when we pick up guitar, right? If that's something that you experience, I got something that'll help you out. A free practice session cheat sheet. What this will do is it'll tell you exactly what to practice every time you pick up your guitar and how to get the most out of your practice sessions in the least amount of time. So click here to grab your copy or check the link in the description box. And if you like this video, be sure to smack the subscribe button and hit the bell notification icon so you can stay up to date on all the new lessons we got coming your way. Well, that does it for this video. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I hope you've enjoyed this lesson as much as I've enjoyed bringing it to you. I'm Eddie with Guitar Mastery Method, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.